Hello, niche website builders.
Hello.
Belated start to the show. Sorry about that. Had a few technical issues, and today's show is the main teardowns Q&A and guests. Except we don't know where our guest is, so we were hoping that if we delayed it a little bit, he might show up and we could chat to her before we got on the stream. But alas, he's not here. At least not yet. So he may show up during the show. You never know. But William, we are waiting for you. Yeah, please.
I guess if there's somebody in the chat as well who applied to be the guest, because we had 6 people wanting to come on the show. If you are in there and you haven't heard back from the team yet, shoot Chris an email. Chris will put his email address in the chat for you, and then we'll send you a link and you can jump on.
Yeah, or jump on the chat on the website or whatever. Yeah, but yeah, do that. And yeah, we've got 6 people. We were going to do one a week for 6 weeks, and the first one's not been very successful. So. Yeah,
if you have side of things to come,
maybe. But yeah, if you have applied or you'd like to come on the show today, it doesn't have to be about H domains. It could just be about website investing stuff, or if it is about H domains, even better, given it's the H domain show. Yeah, today H domain Tuesday. Who we got already in the chat? We have Chris. Good job. Chris is here. Daniel, Brian, Adrian. We've got Gaz. We've got Sam. We've got Strong Mocha. 5 minutes ago in time for an espresso, said Strong Mocha. Must love his coffee. I didn't manage to get one. I was like with the technical issue, so I'm coffee less. But I've got water. I've got Michael. We've got Bertie. We've got Jeremy. We've got Baz, Derek, and Derek. Yeah. So thanks everyone for joining us again. Again, apologies for the delay. And Jason popped in there. So, yeah. How's it going, Adam? Before we
I'm feeling stressed today, Mark. Have a chill out.
I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling like
when I do the teardown, I like hide my screen, go and get a coffee, like chill out a little bit, take some deep breaths. Been running around all day like a maniac.
I have, and yeah, all a bit last minute today. So,
but I'm good
anyway.
I just come back from sports day. My little boy, who's 4.5, was a sports day today. And he's been practicing all week, running up and down the hallway in the house, seeing how fast he can go and trying on different trainers to see different shoes to see which ones are the fastest. And all week they've been practicing in school, and he's been telling me, I've been coming number 1. Came number 1 today, came first in the race, and then I came first again. And so I was going into sports day today with high hopes for him. And then he lost the first race really badly. And then he lost the second race. And he won the third race. So I was like, yeah. So, yeah, he got a little medal. And just in case he didn't get a medal, we made a little medal for him just in case, because he's a bit of a sore loser. So, but we didn't need to give it to him.
That's because he wore himself out all week from like running up and down the hallway.
I know.
He's knackered. He's run out of energy.
But yeah, apart from that, it's good week.
Yeah, nice weather again.
Boiling. Absolutely boiling. So... Baz says, yeah, it's warm in the UK. Could do with a niche website builder cap. Yes, you could, Baz. Don't forget to enter today. Mark looks like a gangster with one on, though. Looks like he belonged in a 50 Cent video or something.
I am a gangster. Clearly.
How's your week going? You having a good week so far? Good weekend?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to remember. I know I was really busy on Saturday. I'm just trying to remember what it was I did.
Was it the school fair on the weekends?
No, it wasn't. No. It wasn't another school fair, was it? What was it?
Oh, Shakespeare.
That was Friday night. Shakespeare in our friend's garden. Once a year, our friend does a Shakespeare, and we'll dress up, and we did that. And I went out Saturday night with my wife, and that was good. The bit in between, which was also really busy and hectic. Oh, that's right. We had some viewings on our house.
Yeah.
That was it. So we got. If you've been following along, yeah, so we're now trying to sell our house again because we're buying a house. We had 8 people turned up, and we had an offer today, so we've accepted it, and I'm hoping that the due diligence sorts itself out on that. So hopefully,
this is big news. I didn't even know this. You have to tell me more later.
A couple of hours ago, mate. That's just a couple of hours ago.
So. Sports day.
That's right. You're busy running around.
Sort my priorities out.
Okay, so yeah, might be a bit of a shorter show today, but to do a little bit of the, I can't think of the right word, housekeeping. I guess. This week, we have a summer sale to celebrate the sunshine. 20th to 26th of June. Head over to niche.builders/summer-sale to check out what we have at offer. We've got a bunch of discounts, bunch of additional content for our content orders. So go check that out. It's special. Won't find it anywhere else kind of deals for this week only. So go check that out. Also, planning well in advance, we have another Building Empires event. If you've missed one in June, there's another one on 30th of January to the 3rd of Feb. We're just collecting speakers and everything now, but last time we had some huge speakers. Had a great event. Head over to buildingempires.live. You'll find a page where you can go and check out the replays of the last event and also register for the next event. So head over and check that out. If you are new around here, don't forget to like and subscribe. Get more people on the stream, more fun for everyone. If we get enough likes by the end of the show, 35 likes by the end of the show, then we will do a giveaway for a cap,
Gangster,
or a mug. Got it all
decked out. I don't have any. I don't have the t-shirt, the hat, or the mug at the moment.
Have the t-shirts yet? I guess you haven't.
I do have the t-shirts. They're packed away somewhere now because
right.
so I don't know where they are.
Cool.
Yes, Derek, I am moving to Spain to join Alex, but only for 8 weeks. I'm not moving there permanently, unfortunately.
But 8 weeks now. Have you managed to go 2 more?
Yeah, it's around 6 weeks, but the closer we get, the more Jess is airing on the we'll stay a little bit longer. So I think we're up to 8 weeks probably, and I'm going to try and see if I can get it to stay for 4 months if I'm lucky, but I don't know how that's going to work. We'll soon see. But it's nowhere near Alex. I messaged Alex, and it's about 6 hours drive away from Alex. So yeah, nowhere near him, but in Spain.
That's pretty close. That's like an afternoon drive in the US.
Yeah, it's like pop into the shop in the US, isn't it? Just want to pop to the store.
Awesome. All right. Yes, we've got a couple of domains at least to do our usual teardowns on. I don't think there's anything else we need to. Oh, we've got questions. Well, I think we've got a couple of questions in the. Should we? Are they questions?
Yep.
I think they are. We've got some questions for pre-show questions. Should we do them now before we do the teardowns?
Yeah, if you want.
I know. Let's do them. So I've read recently that DRDA can be faked. How can you spot if this is the case if you're looking at a domain?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to look at it is to see if there's a discrepancy between number of referring domains and DR. For example, if you've got a DR 40 with 50 referring domains, then it's probably been manipulated. Like that just doesn't make sense. Actually, one of our staff asked me this question this week. I do like a Q&A with some of our staff during the week to try and impart some of this knowledge. And this was literally a question. And they actually asked me, is there a follow-up question was, is there a good ratio then between DR and number of referring domains? Like what is acceptable and what's not? And the answer is that you don't know, but you can use common sense. So if the DR looks freakishly high compared to the number of referring domains, and it probably warrants more research. And usually what you find, or the most common method of inflating DR, or used to be, I'm not even sure if people do it, is Google stacking. So you'll see tons of links from like Google properties essentially, which just look unnatural. And they're free kind of Web 2.0 Google properties, and they'll try and stack them together to increase DR massively with a handful of links. But it doesn't do anything. The links are not great. You just get an inflated DR that on paper, if you look at it, looks impressive, but it's actually probably a bad thing.
Yeah. Cool. So Chris says these questions are from last week, but we missed them. So.
Oh, okay.
Extra question. Jason, this question, can you just clarify, because I'm not exactly sure what you mean by it. How big are his domain factor in SEO rating? So if you could just clarify your question, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. So the other question we have that we missed last week, Nick Burridge. I have a domain I no longer use and wonder if it's useful if it is useful. www logo. Let's have a look.
Well, how about this? I'll do my teardown first. You do your teardown second, and while you're doing that, I look at logo design and pull up all the pages in Ahrefs, and we'll go through it together.
I'm wondering if it's got no. It might be really quick. If it's not even been indexed ever. If it's just one that he's bought a domain that's never been. Oh no, it has been indexed. Oh, it's a 61. Okay, so yeah, you do that then.
Do that then. All right, sounds good. And just on the face of it, it looks very brandable, like logodesign.co.uk. I imagine there's a high search volume for people searching for logo design as a keyword. I know having a keyword in the domain probably doesn't mean as much as, or if anything, as it used to do before, but I think it's really brandable. It's a brandable domain, I think, just on the face of just the domain value rather than the SEO value.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
More questions coming in as well. This is a good one. DR is an AHF rating. How do we know that Google follows it? We can probably safely say that Google doesn't follow it, to be honest. Google probably doesn't care what the DR rating is. The DR rating is, like you say, an Ahrefs kind of algorithm that it's a score they give to a domain based on the backlink profile and the weighting that they give them, not the weighting that Google gives them.
Yeah,
the honest
it's a way to estimate authority, right? It's their estimation of authority. Yeah,
and we'll never have any idea of how Google weights it properly, because there's so much behind the scenes that goes on and the factors that go into it. But we've got to use something to try and understand and estimate and determine the strength of a domain. And these third-party metrics are one of the ways, but they shouldn't be relied on, which is why when we do our tomb rating method, we don't just use one metric. We'll use UR and DR, trust flow, citation flow, DA, and PA. So we get like a combination of 3 different companies' estimates, just in case one's got it totally wrong, or you can't just rely on one of them. So this is Jason's follow-up. How much old domain factor counts in modern day SEO ranking? Still not 100% sure of the question, but I think probably maybe what you're getting at, Jason, is how much weighting does using an age domain count versus just using a fresh domain in modern ranking. I assume that's the question. And if that is the question, you should probably know that personally, me and Mark don't build any of our own personal sites on fresh domains anymore. We only use age domains. So we personally feel that it's a great way to get a head start. You're already making use of authority and history with Google. Typically, they get indexed quicker because it's got that history with Google. You can usually even see that with your own eyes in Search Console. With an age domain, you go into the crawl stats in Search Console, and you can see that Google visits the site a lot quicker and sooner than a fresh domain. And also, it's a good way of starting with a foundation of solid backlinks versus on a fresh domain, you've got to try and acquire those someday or sometime, and it's going to be expensive and timely. And sometimes you can't even naturally acquire the kind of links that you could get with when you start with an age domain. So personally, I think using an age domain accounts for a lot of success for a brand new website these days. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, Mark.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's just loads of benefits. It's all the stuff we always say, like it's a cheap way to buy a backlink profile. It's a couple of grand, you get a lot of referring domains, which would normally cost you a lot in links, but also like add to that how generally you'll start ranking quicker, you'll start earning money quicker. It generally pays for itself again before you would have even got out of the sandbox, in terms of a new domain. So there's just so many different ways that it pays for itself over. That it's just no brainer as far as I'm concerned. So
I know one thing we can do at the end of the show today if we've got time, and I'm looking at it, it's 25 past now, maybe we won't, but remember the case study we did recently, the traffic boner case study?
Oh yeah.
The site is progressing so quickly. I think that was only 3 or 4 weeks ago that we did that case study. But I updated the case study last night because the traffic's like 20,000 a month higher than it was 3 weeks ago. So I can just go through what the updated results are maybe of that as well, just to show where that site's progressing and heading.
Okay.
But yeah, potentially. We'll see how time's looking.
Yeah, cool. We've got lots of questions coming in, which is awesome.
This is great. Yeah. I don't know whether we should just keep doing the questions and then for another 5 minutes maybe, and then we'll have 30 minutes on the teardowns.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hi chaps, what do you guys do with spammy backlinks that are picked up because you rank or naturally come with an age domain? Do you ignore or disavow? Yeah. I mean, if they're the scraper type backlinks, then we just generally ignore them unless we've got reason to do otherwise. We're pretty sure that Google's pretty good at spotting those. They're pretty obvious. Yeah, we just generally just ignore those type of ones. If you're talking about other kind of spammy backlinks, I would take them on their own merit and disavow ones that I think if someone's been maliciously pointing links at your site. But generally, the general crappy blogspot stuff that you see over and over again, I wouldn't even worry about it.
I'd also just add to that, you've got to be careful when you disavow links as well, because kind of like the other question about how do we know Google is following Ahrefs DR, what we may think is a spammy backlink, Google might not think is a spammy backlink. So you may disavow a link which is actually doing good for your site, or you could do the other way around. You might think that link looks good, so not disavow it, and Google actually thinks that's a spammy link, so you haven't achieved the objective. And for any of my sites, if I've ever gone through that process of adding and creating a disavow file, I don't do it myself. I use a guy called Rick Lomas. Can't remember the name of his business. Do you remember what it's called? Is it?
Oh man, I always forget what it's called.
It is called Indexicon. That's the name of his business. Indexicon, and he's like regarded as the expert in our field of kind of disavow files and disavowing poor toxic backlinks. He's built his own piece of software where basically he will run your site as it is and estimate what Google thinks the toxicity score is currently, and then he'll create a disavow file and do the same report if that was uploaded and show you the difference. But again, that's his take on how Google interpret a good or a bad link. So, do it at your own peril. If you want to do it and you feel like the backlink profile is really, really bad and you want someone to have a look, like a second opinion, a professional, then I 100% recommend Rick Lomas, but 90% of the time you probably don't need it.
Yeah. Linkdetective.com is his place to go and get a quote for doing a detox on his, if you wanted to. Okay.
So another one from Baz, is Ahrefs worth it for keyword research, or should I continue to do it manually using Google? Depends on what stage you're at with your website, I think, Baz, and what kind of keyword research you are doing. So we've talked about a couple of different methods on the show last week when we looked at zero search volume keywords. We didn't use any tools because the keywords don't appear typically in Ahrefs or they have no search volume, and we were basically pulling questions from the Google People Also Answer box. That's a valid method of keyword research. However, if you wanted to do something like our tomb rating methods, if the site's got authority and you wanted to look at for other websites and then base your keyword research plan on how authoritative the other sites below you typically are, you're going to need some kind of way of understanding how authoritative they are, and if you've got a better backlink profile. And usually you can only do that with a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush. So depends on what stage you're at, and it depends on if you're comfortable with the method that you're currently using, or if you wanted to explore others. One thing I will say, I think Ahrefs still has the free 7-day trial, so you can sign up and do a ton of research in 7 days. And I'm not sure if they still have the free light version if you connect up with a Google Search Console account, so you can get access to some of the tools that way for free as well.
The other thing is, I don't know if you agree with this. I know from personal experience, like in Ahrefs, I do use it for keyword research, but very rarely do I use the keyword explorer part of it to do the keyword research. It's looking at competitors and looking at metrics and backlink profiles over the actual keyword difficulty scores within the keyword section so much. So although I do use it for keyword research, probably not the keyword research part of the tool, weirdly.
Oh, Michael just said there's no free trial anymore. Stop the trial.
Oh, maybe.
So maybe is the version where you connect your Search Console still there when you get a free light version, maybe?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's still around.
Yeah.
Gaz.
Oh, by the way, guys, it was great to meet you at the affiliate gathering too. I saw your comments a little bit further up. He said, "Nice to meet us. We're actually normal." Well, thanks.
I saw that.
Compliment, I hope.
yeah. Glad to know we're normal.
Yeah. Can sign up to Ezoic early on with a young site, promote more traffic. So you go for it, Mark.
I'll say the obvious answer is no, but there was that person that said if you're having trouble getting your site indexed, like signing up to Ezoic actually helped them, and they'd seen it a few times, get the site indexed, which then it would lead to more traffic. But
we tested that with some client sites, and
oh yeah, we did that. What was the results?
Well, it was mixed because we put it into Ezoic and then it started to get indexed a lot quicker. And I emailed them and was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is working. But she replied and said, oh, actually, I've also been manually submitting each URL 1 by 1, 20 a day until I hit the quota every day. So I was like, oh, right. It could be that as well. So I don't know which one it was, but it could do. I mean, still not out of the realm of possibility.
But generally, no, Gaz. Like, it's the answer. Like, it's not. There's no reason why that should be a thing. Sorry, go on. Yeah, go ahead.
Any more to add to that?
No, I think it's just more questions.
This is a good Q&A one, even though we haven't got a guest on. Okay.
Yeah, good job we haven't.
Yeah. Is the quality of the backlinks matter? Any formula to get to know about the number of backlinks we require for our website?
Yeah. So I guess it comes down to the competitor landscape and who you're competing against for keywords. What I will say is that the first ones are the best. The first ones that are going to have the biggest impact, like on your site. It's like a logarithmic scale, so it's harder to get from 10 to 20 than it is from 0 to 10 in terms of like DR in Ahrefs. But if going from 0 backlinks to 10 is huge, whereas going from 1,000 backlinks to 1,010 is like nothing. So like, getting the first backlinks is always going to have like the most positive impact. But any formula, no, you've got to look at I think you just got to look at the competitors to get an idea. I mean, I think go for what you can compete for in terms of ranking, try and find that low hanging fruit, which you can compete for. And if you've kind of exhausted all of that, then you're starting to look at, well, who am I competing against, and kind of what authority do I need to be able to jump up and compete with them, and therefore what backlinks do I need to get to start competing with them in that space. So I think it's kind of more that than anything else.
Yeah, and definitely just that first part is the quantity of backlinks matter. I think it's more of the it's definitely quality over quantity. I'd take 200 awesome referring domains over 2,000 rubbish referring domains. So that's the other thing to mention. And just because this is the age domain kind of show, like one way of doing that in a quick manner is to find really high quality, niche relevant age domains and redirect them into your existing website. And we've seen that work really, really well, especially if you stack them, especially if you can find 2, 3, 4, 5 really high quality. I can't stress enough that the quality needs to be the same quality that you would build a money site on. Like they need to be really high quality. But if you do that, that's a great way of building lots of good quality referring domains quick and building up your authority in a short time.
Yeah.
We've got Jasper in here, by the way. Jasper's the guy who was on his podcast and he told me about the Ezoic, integrate with Ezoic has got his site indexed. So yeah, Jasper, if you just pop in the comments, like have you still seen that working recently? Let us know how that's going. But onto your question, a couple of days ago, my site dropped by 80% for a second time in 2 years. You think redirecting to a new domain would be beneficial? When you say it dropped 80% for a second time in 2 years, do you mean it dropped 80% and then dropped another 80% again of that? So and do you think that it's been hit by a Google update? If it's been hit by a Google update, I don't know is the honest answer. I don't know what the honest answer for this is anyway. I've not done this. I've not taken a site that's been lost traffic and redirected to a new domain.
I think it depends from site to site, right? Like it depends what the problem is. Like I think you probably need to go back to basics and just look at the foundation of the site first and work out, take a look at the backlink profile, take a look at the basic, do a site audit, take a look at the basic stuff, take a look at who the other sites that are competing against in your space and like what are they doing differently. all of those kind of things I kind of look at first. I mean, always adding links is potentially going to be beneficial, but if it's some other reason why you're getting hit and why you've got those drops, it's not really gonna have much impact. I don't think. Like in the long term, you've got to find the source of the original issue. So I would say probably not. You're probably gonna have to try and dig deeper than that, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Although I have seen people talk about this in Facebook groups about how moving stuff to a new domain. So I think, if it's worth a try potentially. If you've gone back and you can't identify what those things are, because sometimes you can't. Like some of my sites are hitting Google updates over the years, and I look at them and I think there should be nothing wrong because it's the same formula I've used for sites which haven't been hit. So I can't really identify what's happened there.
That's the other thing.
Kind of similar question from George, really. Got a site with 70 good articles that uploaded over a year ago. All the articles are indexed, but they do not seem to rank. Should I transfer the articles from age-relevant domain? I think doing what Mark said and going back to basics, George, on one, has the keyword research been done correctly? Are you going after either keywords which are attainable for your domain or keywords which people are actually searching for? I think is the first place to start. So you've got 70 articles, but are they the right fit for your site with its current authority? And then have a look at the articles themselves. Are they good articles? Do they provide value? If they do, then I think moving it to an age domain is probably good, especially if you feel that the site is missing authority. But over a year, you would expect them to at least be ranking a little bit, even if they were the wrong kind of keywords. It's one of those. I don't know things again, to be fair.
Yeah, I think again, look at the SERPs as well and see what the competitors are doing and what ones are actually ranking, and are they similar to what you've done. If it's a brand new domain, I mean, it says over a year, so he should be okay by then. But I don't know. It's hard without looking at the site, I think. Taking a closer look. Cool.
Guys, do you guys have a metric or formula used on potentially selling advertising space directly in relation to screen real estate? I've not done any of this, to be honest, guys. But I do have a way that I would approach it if I was going to do it. And I would first look at, if you're with Ezoic or most ad networks, you can go in, you can delve in and see what the RPMs are and break it down by placeholder. So I'm assuming you're going to be doing like some kind of direct deal where you're going to be selling like a 7 to 8 by 90 ad spot on the sidebar or something like that, or 300 by 50 side slot in the content. I'd go in and have a look what my current RPM is over the last 6 months for those ad spots, and I'd probably double it. And that's what I would want for a direct deal. You've got to figure out the logistics. I mean, we might probably going to use some kind of ad inserter plugin, I guess, to add the advert directly onto the site. But I'd be looking for at least double the RPM that I'm getting with an ad network right now if I was going to do some kind of direct deal there.
You might be able to do better deals than that, I would imagine, depending on the niche and the space. But I would also do secret shopper and find out if you've got some competitors that are doing that in there as well. Go and find out what they're charging. And
the one thing that I probably wouldn't do is accept on any kind of cost per click model. Like the whole advantage of us running display ads through these ad networks is that we get paid whether someone clicks the advert or not. It's on a pay per impression. I probably wouldn't feel comfortable selling ad spots on my website on a cost per click because you've got no real control if someone clicks or not. So that's the only model I would feel uncomfortable with.
Yeah. Cool. Baz just mentioned a podcast interview that we did the other day. If you didn't already know, we do have a podcast. You can sign up for it on everywhere. So just search for Niche Website Builders. The podcast is also on our YouTube channel. So we don't just do lives. We do have an uploaded podcast interview every week as well. So you can kind of check that out if you haven't already. Right. Are we exhausted most of the questions?
I think so, yeah. That was good, though.
That was. Keep them coming, though, guys. please like the episode. We've got 14 likes at the moment, so we're well short of the 35 for the giveaway. So hit the like button, and yeah, hopefully we can do a draw of the show. Adam, do you want to go and do your teardown, and
yeah,
then I'll keep tracking questions.
Cool. So I am looking at a website today called CalorieCounter.net. It's a 20-year-old website, DR25, has links from things like Wikipedia and LA Times and Livestrong and bodybuilding.com and Healthify. So lots of like high quality, niche relevant to do with kind of healthy eating, those kinds of links. And I think this is a really interesting space for two reasons, and you'll see why when I go through it. One, well, I won't spoil it, but it's an interesting space, and I think I've found two different angles that we could, creative angles that we could approach building this kind of website around. So without further ado, I will share my screen and show you them, go through it. So. Awesome. So quick overview of the domain first. It's a DR25, a UR19, 246 referring domains. It's been around for 20 years. Ahrefs only go back to like end of 2015. And you can see you used to get some traffic, not a ton of traffic. And it's kind of up and down over the years. And this is what the website used to look like. So a typical early 2000s type of website, lots of kind of links. But essentially it was kind of like nutritional and calories for all different types of food. So like calories in snacks and pizza calories and in bars and, diet nutritions, calories and grams of alcohol and protein, etc. And really like it didn't change too much throughout the years. So this is 2 years later. This is 2008, 2010. And you can see here, because this will become important later, it's got calories and 2,500 foods. That page was an awesome page, basically listed 2,500 foods and the calories in them. And we would definitely want to use that in our plan in the future. 2012, 2014, 2016, 18, 20, and then it went offline. So it literally didn't change. So there's no surprise that towards the end of its lifestyle that we can see in Ahrefs for the last couple of years, like it didn't get a ton of traffic because really they didn't really change anything. They didn't update the website. The design stayed the same. In all honesty, it's a bit horrible, but it did provide useful information and it did have a really good backlink profile. So first things first, it's still indexed. We can see that it's still ranking or got organic keyword ranking for things like Mexican food calories, schnapps calories, rebounded calories burned, nutrients in noodles. So it's got a couple of pages indexed. That's always a good sign if a site is still indexed or still has a couple of keywords indexed in the index. Usually they come back a little bit quicker. So that's a good sign. When we check the anchor text, referring domains highest to lowest, as always, we can see that it's branded at the top, CalorieCounter.net, CalorieCounter, calories information, and then CalorieCounter, calories in food, and kind of get down to the ones and twos then. So this all looks natural, very branded at the top, which is perfect when we look at these age domains. Referring domains, a couple of Wikipedias, and I mentioned this on the last couple of streams. I don't know if there's like a resurgence of people wanting to get Wikipedia links. I see so many people asking in the Facebook groups these days about how can I get Wikipedia links, and more importantly, how can I make them stick? So that's one benefit of using an age domain, is that you already have them. They're already stuck. They've already been around for a number of years. It's probably not going to be a moderator that goes back to 2020 or whenever this, or sorry, like 10 years ago, whenever this link was actually placed, and update and edit that link. It's stuck basically. We've got LA Times, we've got Fandom, we've got Livestrong, bodybuilding.com, Money Saving Expert, Healthfully. So lots of really good high DR backlinks which are niche relevant towards healthy living, working out, just basically like health, fitness, healthy food, that kind of stuff. And then if we have a look at the best pages by referring domains or best pages by links, most of the referring domains go to the homepage, which again is awesome when we look at age domains. We've got a couple that used to go to the nutritional calories and noodles page, which is probably why it's still indexed. We've got a little bit about how to lose weight bowling fitness. So basically how bowling keeps you fit, helps you lose a bit of weight. And then we've got this calorie content of 2,500 popular foods with basically at least 9 referring domains. And that's going to become important because that's going to become a big part of the strategy. We're going to have this big, massive hub page, essentially, cornerstone page, whatever you want to call it, that lists out the 2,500 popular foods, which is going to link down into individual pieces of content. And then it's going to link down into smaller hub pages, and those smaller hub pages are going to link to individual pieces of content, which I'll run through in a little bit. But yeah, most of what you've seen here is what you would expect. So calories burned jogging, calories in Oreo cookies, calories needed to maintain your weight, calories burnt by rebounder, etc., etc. So there's definitely a couple of things in here we want to recreate, we want to keep, because it's going to be relevant to the new site that we're building. And then if we just go back to 2020, I just picked that date here because it was kind of like decent amount of traffic, one of the peaks. These are the pages that the site was ranking for. So calories in Savoy, calories in Mexican food, calories in raisin flour, calories in Oreo cookies. And interestingly, they had a lot of pages. That's 600 pages. But the reason why I think this didn't work for them, and even with 600 pages, they weren't getting a ton of traffic, is because when I started researching calories in, those kinds of keywords, and I look for calories in and then a specific food item, it's dominated these days by like programmatic SEO websites. And what I mean is that we literally have a look now, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Let's look at calories in, and I'll even look for low competition ones. So let's look for keyword difficulty, maximum of 20, minimum volume of 10. And let's order them like this. So even these small ones. So how many calories in I don't even know what that is. Sanchoho. But it's dominated by things like this. So these kinds of programmatic SEO websites where there's no content, and all this is fed from a database. There's a nifty little plugin here where you can change how many bowls or servings, etc., and it changes this. And they've typically got tens of thousands of pages that have been generated programmatically like this. So they've got a database of this, and this feeds and creates these pages dynamically. And you can pretty much tell that because they've got this funky URL on the end. Like, they not always look like this, but this is a bit of a giveaway sign that these pages are generated dynamically from a database. Like, you wouldn't set up your permalink structure to be like that typically. This is another one. Again, you can see it's generated programmatically somehow in the back end because it's got this query in the database called recipe equals. And there's no content on here. It's just kind of like this nutrition facts and then nothing really. Again, same like this. So when I was doing my research, this was my first port of call. This is what we could do for the website. But when I saw these kinds of websites, we can't compete with this unless you've got programming knowledge or the ability to build a database and create dynamic pages on the back end. And this is why I think in its old state, when they had all these types of pages, they might have had 600 pages of it, which sounds a lot. When you're competing with websites like that, which have tens of thousands of pages, I think one of them had 60 or 70,000 pages because they created dynamically. You can't compete. And I think that's why this site didn't get a ton of traffic in relation to the pages. But what I did see that they had was things like this: calories in Mexican food. So it's not a specific food, but it's a food group. And that is totally different. If you Google things like that, it's not typically served by progress. The results typically not the programmatic type websites. And I found a website which does exactly that. They don't go after the individual food items, but they go after the food groups. So it's called calories.info. You can see here it's been around for a good couple of years, DR36, so slightly stronger than our site. Organic traffic, 118,000, probably 200,000-300,000 visits a month that we know. And when we have a look at how many pages they literally have 50 pieces of content driving that traffic. So that's great. If they can drive a couple of 100,000 visits a month with just 50 pages, that's great for us. And this is the kind of content that they've got. So they've got pizza, fruit, beer. And again, it's not massive amounts of content, and I think we can do better, and I'll talk to you about how we can do better, but it's not that programmatic stuff. It's basically a table, which is not programmatic. It's got the food name, the servings, the calories, and they've got three different tables. I think they're missing a trick here, because by showing them like this and changing it dynamically, they're missing out on ad revenue. Now, they probably don't care, because the whole point of this website is to get you to click one of these or to click this button to download their app. And it looks like they've got 125,000 downloads of the app. So they're probably not monetizing the website. Their whole focus is to get people to download the app. But we obviously would want to monetize with display ads. And one of the downsides of a short piece of content like this is the limited opportunity for ad spots. So what I think we would do is we would have three tables, one above each other, one showing per 100 grams, one showing per serving, and one showing per slice. So we've basically got paragraphs at the top, introduction, where we can have a couple of ad spots. Then we've got ad spot above the one table, below the second table, below the third table, below the fourth table, etc. So people have to scroll, and keeps them on the page longer, and gives us opportunity for that. The other thing which they don't have, and they're not doing a great job of, they've got this little bit of 160 words or something. 160 words of like blurb at the top. But if we look at pizza calories, and we literally just put pizza calories into Google, and we look at the people also ask box, there's a ton of opportunity for us to go in and add FAQs either towards the top or towards the bottom again. And this will just make our piece of content better, which is always the aim of this, is how can we look at a website that's doing well, and how can we make ours better? So I think that's what we would look at, is adding these FAQs in as more content, gives us more opportunity for more ad placements, and makes our content better. Same for this, fruit calories. Again, they've just got a list of the different fruits, the number of calories per serving per 100 grams. And if you Google fruit calories, again, you've got tons of FAQ questions that you can add in. You can see actually here the calories.info is ranking number 1 for that. So it shouldn't be hard for us to outrank them, given that we can add more value to that search term. And then just the last one is same for wine calories. And that would be great. So I think the initial plan for the website would be to start with the same 50 pages that these guys have, and cover fast food and ice cream and meat and wine, etc. But that's, where do you take the website then? Like, that's great as a starting point. You've got 50 pieces of content, should start driving traffic, but where do you go next? And what I think we should do next is each one of these provides the opportunity then to internally link through to another article. At the moment, this links through to their app, but we could then build upon this a recipe site, I think, and that would be like that. That's the way to go. So imagine now you've got and that was the other thing I wanted to say, which is why I mentioned earlier the this calorie content of 2,500 popular foods. One of them, the most popular page on their website is the homepage on this calories.info, and it's ranking for calories in food. If we look at the homepage, I mean, it's not particularly well optimized for calories in food. You've got this kind of bits here and a little bit here, and then that's it. Like, they have a couple of hundred words at the bottom. Imagine if we had a piece of content which talked about the calories in 2,500 different types of food. Similar to this, it's broken down into segments, and you've got, pizza. So all of the 50 different categories is all on one page. I imagine it shouldn't be hard to outrank these guys for things like calories in foods and take a big chunk of that traffic. So imagine now you've got that one page. That is your pillar page. It contains 2,500 different foods, basically, with all the calories in. And then each subtopic, so it'd be broken down into pizza and fruits. And when you click on pizza, it takes you to the pizza page, which looks like this. And then when you come on here and you click beef pizza, for example, it then takes you through to a recipe page. And I just want to look at this website, because these guys do an insane job of, excuse the pun, insanely good recipes. They do an insane job of recipe content without actually creating recipes, because as content creators, the recipes are notoriously difficult to create. Like, they're insanely hard to create, because you're competing against people that are actually there cooking the food, taking real photos of them, making their own recipes, etc. So like, just actually making real recipes is hard. But what these guys have done, and what I did was went on their site explorer, put them in, typed in pizza because we're going to have a page on pizza, obviously, and looked at what pages they have about pizzas. And they've got side dishes for pizzas, dessert pizza recipes, pizza appetizers. And when we look at those pages, so the side dishes for pizzas, for example, what we find is these are not recipes. These are roundups of other people's recipes. So this one goes through to inspiredtaste.net. And this one goes through to cookieandcake.com. So they're not writing recipes, they're not making their own. All they're doing is finding good quality recipes on other websites, small little roundup of them of what it is, image, and then a link through. And I think there's the opportunity with this website to basically create tons and tons of these recipe pages that are related to all the pages. So in this case, we've got the pizzas page. We would create a side dishes for pizza, dessert pizza recipes, pizza appetites, all these kind of roundup pieces of content that they've got. So 20 best dessert pizza recipes. And just to show you, like, I know they're a DR65, but they haven't been around for a long time. They've been around for like 2-3 years, and 10 million visits per month. And when we look at the best performing content, if I take out pizzas, the majority of it is being driven from these roundup posts. So you've got keto recipes and crock pot recipes, but they're not their own recipes. They're the roundups of other people's recipes. So I think there's massive opportunity if we crafted this right to create like a proper hub spoke model of here are the 2,500 calories in foods, break it down to the sub pages, here are all the calories in pizzas. Then from there, link through to all of the roundup pizza recipes, and then all of the roundup fruit recipes, and all of the roundup dessert recipes, and all the roundup dinner recipes, etc. And before you know it, you've got the opportunity to create literally hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content and drive tons and tons of traffic. And that is my roundup of the domain.
Awesome.
Took longer than I thought there. I've only left you literally with 5 minutes, Mark, to do yours. So I don't know if you want to save it for next time or I don't know.
Yeah, I've kind of, a lot of that stuff applies because it's another food-based domain. So a lot of the stuff you mentioned there already applies. So I don't have to repeat that, I guess.
Yeah.
I could, what should I do? Should we do it? Let's, I'll rip through it quick. Let's see if we can do it. So we've got CommonGrains. So it's 10 years old. Again, it's got some decent authority domains in there. You can see LA Times, foodandwine.com, thekitchen.com. So again, some really good authority domains there, as well as some really good niche relevant domains as well. So yeah, I can't actually see them all there because it's so small, but hang on. Yeah, there's a bunch. I mean, even the ones in the list are super high authority. So check that out. And what I will do is I will quickly bring up my screen now too. Okay, let's remove that. Let's remove us. Oh, hang on. That's just you. Woo. Okay. I can't hear you now. Are you talking?
Oh, I put myself on mute. Sorry.
Okay. No worries. I was thinking it was my headphones again. Okay. All right. So CommonGrains.com. So this is available on the site. You can see some of the domains here again. So LA Mag, Grub Street, Friends of Friends, Taylor Morrison. So Eat, Drink Better. Some awesome kind of backlinks here. Looking at Wayback Machine, you can see that it was a blog. You know what? I didn't even check about like the history. Let's have a look at that in a sec. But it's generally a lot about Japanese food, essentially, which I kind of rescued because I kind of omitted that. I kind of forgotten it was that as I was doing the research and went through a whole line of research, but I've now found some Japanese food sites as well to show, which I think would be good. So yeah, looking at the anchor text, it's as you would expect. It's mostly branded anchors for CommonGrains, CommonGrains.com, and all of the other kind of anchors is kind of exactly what you'd expect in line with like Japanese food and things like that. In terms of the links and pages that we might recreate, there's a couple of pages we would probably want to recreate. There's one here on Japanese rice, and there's one on Kojo, which I hope I've pronounced properly, which is like a Japanese seasoning. So
Kojo was the guy from the TV show. What was that?
I don't know.
Was it the 80s? Was it Kojo?
I don't know. It's BA, right? I don't know, Kojo, but it's a seasoning anyway. I just remembered we were going to go through that domain at the end as well, that you were going to look up.
Oh yeah. Shall I look that up now?
Yeah, take a look, and then. Okay, so I found this domain, Japanese Food Guide. It's not particularly old, but it's doing pretty well. If I get that 1 year, so it's around 30,000 visitors now. It's only a DR8, so very low DR. It's doing very well. So like it's at 30, but we know that it's probably 2 or 3 times more than that in reality. And it's got 103 pages, so it's doing pretty well for itself. And here you can kind of check, some of the articles that it's got. So it's things like what is wasabi, talking about wagyu. I think I pronounced that right. Wagyu, is it? Hibachi. What is ramen? So there's edible Japanese seaweed types. So there's a whole bunch of articles there that it's ranking pretty well for. It's actually this one, hibachi, is actually the majority of the traffic looking at it, but it's still got some decent. It's ranking decently for some of the other stuff in here as well. And then we got a particularly one called the Wagyu Shop, which is actually an e-commerce site, but it's got a reasonable blog on there as well. So if I take a look at that, they're getting about 95,000 visitors a month. I did a little, and they're DR35. I drilled down on how much of that was from the blog, and about 20,000 is from the blog. And again, we've got some information here. So how is Wagyu beef raised? Pan-sear Japanese Wagyu beef. Kobe beef versus Wagyu beef. What's the difference between caviar and fish roe? What is American Wagyu? So there's a whole bunch of stuff here. We can go down, if we wanted to start this site, we could go down a whole Wagyu route, and there'd be a whole lot of Wagyu articles and a Wagyu content cluster that we could create. I've got a bunch of other sites here now that aren't Japanese because, as I said at the start, I hadn't realized I'd forgotten it was Japanese food and went off onto a tangent. However, all of the stuff here is still kind of relevant. We just do it. We'd definitely start it in the context of Japanese food. And once we built out that silo, there's no reason why we couldn't expand it out into other stuff. CommonGrains, the domain doesn't make it fit that it should be just about Japanese food. We could expand it out later, but we'd definitely start with Japanese food. But substitute cooking is something that's very kind of popular. So substituting one food for another food, you could do that in the Japanese space to start with, or kind of roll it out over time. But if you take a look at this domain, which is a DR23, it's currently getting about 170,000 visitors. Again, that's probably conservative. It's probably 2 or 3 times more than that. So it's getting a lot of traffic for a DR23. Top pages for this, like corn flour substitutes for cocoa powder, what to eat with mashed potatoes, substitute for flax seeds. It says it's literally substitutes for one food for another food. And you can see that the traffic is really nicely spread out. So this is a great site, great kind of angle to take with some food type sites for sure. We've got this one, conscious eating. DR19, it's getting about 100,000 visitors as well of traffic. We take a look at this here. There's a lot of recipes in this one, but also I noticed there's a lot of like how to reheat. What's the best way to reheat? So what's the best way to reheat a chipotle burrito? What's the best way to reheat seafood boil? What's another one? Reheat Chick-fil-A sandwich. So yeah, we wouldn't really have guessed it, but yeah, and they've also gone down the substitute route. You can see like substitutes here. So that again, seems to be pretty popular kind of there. Shelf cooking. Again, this is traffic is 94,000 from a DR33. Again, probably conservative number, and this is just generally a recipe kind of site. So we've got soy sauce. Oh, I've got soy sauce substitute. That's why I picked it out. Flour substitute. Like the whole load of substitute things going on here. amongst it, there's kind of recipes as well. I've probably got a bit too many blogs now that I've added those Japanese ones at the start. DR34, another 94,000. What angle did they take? Oh, this one is like, yeah, this is more, yeah, this is definitely more kind of recipe based stuff. So I won't dwell too long on that, but it's just kind of some recipe bits and pieces here. Again, you'd start with Japanese stuff, Japanese recipes, and expand out from there. This is the last one, Spice World. Again, it's an e-commerce site, but again with a decent blog. So if we take a look at, it's getting around 70,000 in traffic a month. And if you take a look at this one, we've got the top health benefits of garlic, 10 health benefits of ginger. Look at the traffic they're getting from those each month. 38,000 from one, 22,000 from another. Health benefits of ginger and garlic. Sounds a bit similar. Garlic ready to use, minced garlic. Yeah, oh, that's probably the e-commerce stuff. But you can see you've got some recipes in here as well. So some bunch we can kind of pull out from that also. So in summary, there's probably some. I only just kind of found these Japanese sites at the last minute. I might try and dig some more out for next week. I mean, however, that said, yeah, these ones are pretty good and are getting off to a really good start. So, especially down the Wagyu one here that we had. So I might pull out some more for next week, just quickly at the start of the show, if the domain hasn't already sold by then, of course. Otherwise, hopefully there's some kind of ideas for some directions that we could take that domain to.
The sun at this time of the day is just like, it's just like a spotlight on my face. I don't know what's going on there.
I've got a cloud luckily today. Normally it's the same.
Close it. Oh, there we go. Right. So quickly, we're already 5 minutes over. So I'll just quickly, I pulled up a couple of different stuff from that site. Yeah. So
logo design at KDK, yeah.
So it looks pretty good. I'll go through a couple of things. There are two things that concern me with this, though. So just on the overview, looks like a DR61. A long history of traffic. When we look on way back, like goes all the way back to like early 2000s. Long history there. Typically, this is just like a side note. If you see gaps like this, usually that would indicate that, especially when it's being consistent like this, that the site kind of went offline a little bit and then came back online. That doesn't appear to be the case here, but more often than not, if you see that kind of pattern, then that's usually what that indicates. And that's where you've got to really dig in and be careful and look at, did that site go offline and what did someone bring it back online as? Did they bring it back as some kind of PBN, or is there something dodgy going on? I mean, I've not dug super much into this site, but into this now because I've literally just looked, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So 2020, it looks like it hasn't changed ownership. It's always been kind of like a logo design company or a branding-based business based down in Devon way here in the UK. This is the website initially, so a little client area, and you can enter the website here. Typical of the time, it's Flash. Essentially, you can't really get a good idea of what this was, but I guess it's some kind of animation or something like that. Same for Flash. And you can see here that we're past that gap now, but the site looks the same. And I had a quick look around and hovered over the links just to make sure that there was nothing in here which linked out to someone that looked a little bit dodgy. It doesn't look like that, but you definitely want to investigate that a little bit further. And it looks like that a rebrand. So logos, branding, website, e-com, startup. The website, the telephone number remains the same and constant throughout the whole thing. So I believe it's the same owners that have it throughout. We talk a little bit about. They do have this down here, which I only just spotted, which is some kind of Japanese text. I'll click it. I don't know what this is. That doesn't quite look like it should be there, though, right? So for some reason, they had a Chinese version of this page.
Oh, welcomes clients from China and Asia. So,
oh, there we go. Yeah, interesting. So it didn't look like it should be there, but clearly,
I wonder why. They must have had a client and some sort of marketing initiative or something for that.
yeah. But even more so, this would now make me even more wary about wanting to dig a little bit deeper and look more and like check to make sure there's no outbound links to anything suspicious on here now. But it looks like a potentially legitimate page to have, essentially. Again, the website hasn't changed it much there. And then again, here, slight update on the design. But again, the phone number stays the same, stays consistent. So I'm assuming whoever put this in the chat for us is the owner and has owned this domain for a long time. Little update, making it look quite nice. Looks like a quite nice website. Again, still same 830-000 phone number. And then updated to this. And then that's what it was like in the latest edition on 2022. But if we look at it now, it looks slightly different. So I don't know what this is. I don't know if they've rebranded to Enfold. The telephone numbers changed. There's some lorem ipsum. Oh, the telephone numbers stayed the same here. There's some lorem ipsum. So I'm not 100% sure if what's happened here, why they've gone from this nice looking kind of agency site through to looking like this. I don't know, but I'm assuming the business is no longer around. And that's why the question was, I have this domain that I'm not doing anything with. Would it be useful? So I'm assuming that it's not a branding agency anymore, but they didn't want to get rid of the website. Currently has about 140 pages. Obviously, it's targeting the UK because it's .co.uk, and they've got some informational stuff. So how to register my logo, some case studies, some information on pricing, logo branding FAQs, etc. So some informational stuff, some case studies, that kind of thing. Ranking for things like logo design UK, doing fairly well considering logo design in the UK gets 32,000 searches, and they're on page 2 for the homepage, which, as we know, like it is not great for logo design, I don't think. So it looks like they're doing okay for that. And how to register a logo, design logo company, etc. So it looks okay. Anchor text, ordered high social referring domain. The top one is branded. We've got a couple more branded in here as well. We've got this little bit of Chinese stuff, but given what we just saw about them having a Chinese page, probably makes sense that they would have that kind of stuff there as well. So the rest looks all decent. I'll leave that page a second. Best pages by links. Most of the links go to the homepage. We've got a couple here which go to digital websites or the blog, etc. What is a brand promise? So probably we'll have to do a little bit of cleanup, but most of that is nice and tidy to the homepage. And then if we look back so I looked in June 2019, which was kind of up here when it was one of the peaks. It did have more pages. So it did have more content at some point, going back a couple of years ago, 257 versus the 140 it currently has. It looks like the similar kind of stuff. You still got the how to check a brand name is registered, but they might have got rid of these pages where custom logo design, if they're not offering those kinds of service anymore. I don't quite know what's missing here without digging in a little bit deeper. And the organic keywords they used to rank for were very similar, but they used to be quite a bit higher up. So for logo design in the UK, just a couple of years back, they used to rank position 5, where we know they're currently position 14. So there's potential here to rank quite high for logo design in the UK. I think this website's got a history of top 5 rankings for those kinds of terms. But I do have two reservations. The first one, we talked about it earlier. For a DR61, it's only got 399 referring domains. That number of referring domains seems low for a DR61. I don't know. Would you agree there, Mark? Do you think that feels a bit low?
It is, unless they're all really high authority.
Yeah, where they're not, essentially. So this is why I left this page to last. There are some high authority stuff in here, but lots of this stuff I recognize is kind of like the scraper sites, like webwiki.com. It looks high. Looks a high DR, but it's a scraper site. And you've got About Us, which again is a scraper site. Got some like logo design love.com, which I think is an actual site, but lots of this stuff top too high, way ranks, more funds, worldwide top sites. Like they're all the type of scraper sites. So this, to me, doesn't scream the link profile of a DR61.
No.
So that's the first thing I would be wary about and would question a bit more. And the second one is this kind of just drop off in traffic. We know that something happened in kind of early 20 or late 2019, early 2020. And it could be the fact that they went from this kind of layout in 2019, where they had the blog and that, to this layout, and through the redesign, something might have got lost. They might have done something, I don't know how they did this, but instantly I can't see a link to the blog anywhere. There's no link to the blog in the main menu up here. There's no link there. There's nothing in the footer, whereas in here, they've got a link to the blog and useful information and stuff. So whether during the updated design, something happened and they didn't, maybe that's where they went from 250 pages down to 140 and they lost some of the pages, but something happened to cause the traffic to drop off there. And given the timings based on the redesign, it's probably something to do with the redesign. And that then meant that traffic has been kind of nothing really for the last 2 years. So that's the other concern is, was that a migration thing, or was that something to do with Google, like a penalty, or did something happen that caused the traffic to drop off, or was it human error where they didn't migrate the website properly? So yeah, sum up, good-ish looking domain, two areas of concern. DR looks inflated in relation to the referring domains, and you do want to try and figure out a little bit more about what happened in this January 2020, end of 2019 time, basically.
Yeah, I think you should drill into that a little bit closer, I think, to find out what happened at that spot. But other than that, I mean, I think if you wanted to have a UK logo site, for logo design, I think it's worth a punt, probably. It looks like it's pretty solid and got a long history of that, and ranking already pretty well for logo design keywords in the UK. So
yeah, from a branding perspective, like logodesign.co.uk is, I think it is really brandable as a domain name if you were selling logos or you're doing something with logos. Yeah. Anyway,
cool. Nice. All right. Well, we'll call it a day there. We won't do a draw because two reasons. We're super late. Other reason, we've got 20 likes. Way short.
20 likes. What's going on?
I know. I thought it was a good one. But I guess maybe people don't like Q&As so much. We'll have to see. We're going to do more Q&As though, so we'll see how that pans out. Just to let you know about the live streams this week, tomorrow we have the Niche Lifestyle Show on Doug's channel. Link in the description. Why some people are successful online. It's an hour before this one. And then on Thursday, we have a website investing show, which is why internal linking is so important. So we're going to be covering that on Thursday. That's it, I think. Yeah. Anything else to add before we say goodbye, Adam?
Nope. All good for me.
All right. Well, thanks very much. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
Cheers, guys. Have a good day.